Today we're going to paint a little octopus on a wood background. So I gave you a whole bunch of paints and you guys can pretty much use whatever colors you want, but I'm going to go through, I'm going to paint my octopus eyes first, and then I'm going to do his body, then we'll do the background. We're going to like work in a circuit so everything has enough time to dry. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to paint those eyes. So you should have 2 ovals, and I am just going to paint these white. And most of this, I'm going to put 2 coats of paint on. So I'm going to do it like a circuit. Do 1 coat on everything, then go back, put 2nd coats, and then we could add some details. So I am just going to put a coat of white on here. Alrighty. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to paint our octopus. So you can really paint it whatever color you want. I'm feeling green today, so I'm going to paint it green. So you have a bunch of different greens in your little palettes. When you use them, you just have to mix them up a little bit. Sometimes the paint settles. So I'm just going to put a coat of paint on my, I didn't even wash my brush after the white too, so I'm getting a little white on it, but that's okay. So I'm just going to cover that whole octopus, do it 1 color, and then we're going to go back and add some more color. So you can really do with this whatever color you want to do. I know you have a purple, you have an orange, if you want to do something a little different. This is acrylic paint, so if you have any acrylic paint at home you want to use with it, it'll work perfectly with it. I did the lightest shade of green that we have. And then I think I'll go back with some dark green and add some details later. So I covered this in all green. I'm going to go back and put a little more white on my eyes because they're almost dry already. When you paint something white, especially these wood pieces, you're going to need a lot of coats just because the wood is cut with a laser. So a lot of times there'll be burn marks, so you'll be able to see them if you don't put 2 coats on there. So I'm going to go back. I think I'm going to do my octopus now too. I'm going to go back, add a 2nd coat to some of those arms and stuff that need some more paint. Alright, so that looks good to me. I put a 2nd coat on those. I'm going to put these both aside to dry. Then after we finish our background, these should be ready and we could add some detail. So I'm going to wash and dry my bigger brush. That's all I've used so far. We're only going to use our little brush, our big little brush for little details. So you have a wood round, and then that little tag is going to be the top of your round. So flip it over. You could pretty much do whatever you'd like on the background. Give you an illusion of how the octopus is going to look. I am going to do black, and then it's going to have a little blue towards the top. I think that'll really look cool with the green. So I'm going to paint my last 2, the bottom 2 slots. I'm going to paint it black. So I painted those 2 bottom slats. So now I'm gonna paint the next slat, half of it, using matte black. After I paint the half of it black, we're gonna start putting a little blue in there. And once again, you could do any colors that you like in your background. So I have the black. I'm not even gonna wash my brush. I'm gonna put some blue on my brush, and I'm gonna continue. You could use the blue that's in the plastic cup, or you could use one of the blues that's in your little plastic pots. So I'm just adding blue, and then I'm going into the black to bring a little bit of that blue down into that black. So it almost should make a little navy. All right, so I have that one done. I'm gonna wash my brush out. The next one, I am going to just do all blue. Do that all blue, and I'm going to just put a little bit of black into there to just kind of so it blends with that the slat below it. I'm just gonna bring all the way down, going left and right into that black. So it gets black, and then it's going to start getting blue. To do that final little piece, I'm going to wash out my brush. I'm just going to put a little blue on there. And I'm just gonna brush it down. I'm not gonna put any black up there. I kind of just want it to look like a little ombre. It goes from a little lighter to darker. All right, so I'm gonna go back, make sure I didn't miss any spots to finish up our little board. All right, so I'm gonna let my background dry. While I'm letting my background dry, I'm gonna move on to my eyes and my octopus body. So for our eyes, I'm going to do a big blue dot and then a black pupil and then a little light reflection in it. So I'm going to use my smaller brush because you're working with little small things. So I'm going to use that teal almost, and I'm going to put a nice circle. Sometimes you could even use your pinky, let's try this out, and put a little circle and then spread it out with one of your other fingers or your paintbrush. So I have one circle there. In the other eye, I'm going to try and make a circle in the same kind of area. Looks good to me. This one has a lot of paint, so I'm going to try and brush it out. All right, so when that's finished, I'm going to add some detail to my octopus. I'm going to open up the dark green. I would just suggest either doing a color a little darker or a color a little lighter, depending on what you do. And I am just going to mix up that green. And then I'm going to just put some green like dots along one side of each like tentacle. So the tentacles are covered in little suction cups, so this gives it the illusion that there's little suction cups. And I'm just doing one side. beautiful. I'm also gonna, I washed my brush out so I didn't have that much paint. I'm gonna put some, just like a little shadow of that dark on each side of my face. So I'm just brushing that in, and then just to give him a little something interesting about him. So I think that's all the detail I'm going to add to the octopus. I kind of like how he looks now. So next, while I'm at it, I'm going to go back to my eyes. I'm going to put a black circle in the middle of that eye. It usually works better too when the blue paint or whatever color you have for the colored circle is dry. So we're gonna let that dry, and then there's one detail that I want to add to it in a little bit. So I'm gonna put that aside. I'm going to find my background, and this is where you can kind of have fun with your background now. So my paint is pretty much dry, and you can pretty much add whatever you'd like to the background. Since I have so many greens, I'm gonna add some seaweed on the bottom. So I'm just going to go to the bottom and move out everything. And I'm just gonna add some seaweed, some lines going up. Do that on both sides. With white, I'm going to add some bubbles in the background. So all I'm going to do is draw a circle in white. And then just on one side, I'm going to put a little light reflection. So you can put some bubbles in the background. The light reflection should be on the same side when you're doing this. And you can make them all different sizes. I just love some of the blues, so I'm going to add some blue in the background. Could add little fish in the background. Maybe I'll add some little blue fish. So I'm going to stir up that blue, and then in the background I'll just add some little blue fish. Make an oval, and then just make like a little sideways V. Connect it to make a little fish. But you could really do anything you'd like in the background. This is your painting. I'm staying away from the middle because I know the octopus is going to go right in the middle. So I don't want to block too much. Little fish. I'm going to try and make some orange fish. I don't know how well the orange will look on the black, but we'll see. If the color isn't coming out on the black, almost looks like a goldfish right now, you could always add a little white to that color. And white just helps cover, makes the paint more opaque. Looks like a little goldfish. All right, I'm gonna let that dry. While that's drying, I'm gonna go back to my eyes. My last little step on the eyes, I'm gonna get close up, is I am going to put a little white dot in each eye. So in the blacks of each eye, I'm just gonna put a little white dot. And once again, this works best if your paint is relatively dry. So I'm gonna let everything dry at this point, and then when it's all dry, we're gonna come back together and put it all together. So my octopus and all my background is pretty much dry, so I'm going to glue it. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna lay everything out to see where I want it. So the big thing is the placement of the eyes. The octopus should go right in the middle. If you put the eyes closer together, it's a little more cartoon-like, sometimes silly. Put them further apart. I kind of like them further apart, so I'm going to put them further apart. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue my octopus on first. So I'm going to take my eyes off. You could use any kind of glue, a school glue. I'm using a wood glue, but it's just like Elmer's, so you could use Elmer's, any kind of glue. So I'm just going to put some glue on each leg and the body. And I'm just going to put him right down in the middle. Make sure you have that clip on top. Putting him right in the middle. Then what I could do is I'm going to glue my eyes. So I'm just going to put the glue right on the octopus to glue the eyes. And I'll put my eyes down. And at this point, you could add any little decorations if you want. You could give them a smile. You could put more stuff in the background. But I'm going to leave you. I hope you guys had fun painting this wood octopus with me, and have a great summer.